Coach Tony.
Okay, folks, we are back, and we're talking about sports rules that need to be changed. And, there are plenty of them, and we had a couple of emails that came in during the week, and we'll certainly get some more of your emails. And like I said, the phone lines are open at 855-HEY-COACH. That is 855-439-2622. So give me a call. Let me know what you think about some of these more ridiculous rules that we as parents and coaches, as well as our young players, have to contend with. The email for any of your thoughts is heycoachtony@gmail.com. You know what? I think before we get back to emails, I think we're going to go back. You know what? Let's get to some of the calls here. We're going to go to we're actually going to go to John, who is calling in from Long Island. Hey, John, you're on Hey Coach Tony. What's going on this morning?
Good morning, Coach Tony. How are you?
I'm good. All right. So this is my brother John, correct?
Yes, it is.
All right. So you were in Florida last week. And for those of you who remember, I tried to give John his 15 seconds of fame and talk about the world infamous Ben Roethlisberger fumble in the end zone call. So I'm assuming we're going to talk a little bit about that. But is there anything else you want to get to before we hit that?
No, I've been sitting a week and a half waiting to talk about Coach Barry, whatever his Barry Manilow, his name was.
Not Barry Manilow, Barry Manilow. And by the way, Barry was great.
He was a very good guest.
Very good guest. All right. So what do you want to say about it? Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I'm a Miami Dolphin fan, which has absolutely nothing to do
of course not.
with one of the most horrendous calls in the history of pro football.
Crap. Go ahead.
Barry Manilow to sit there and say, they got it right. What did they get right? Did they get the call? They said, let me see. First of all, the referee singled touchdown on the field. They reviewed it. It was a fumble. Didn't get it right. The referee blew the whistle slightly prematurely, according to Barry Manilow, before the ball was fumbled in the end zone. They didn't get that one right. They had to go to instant replay to figure out who got the fumble in the end zone. Because why? Nobody bothered to look to see who recovered the fumble in the end zone because they singled it a touchdown. Now, what part of those three things does Barry Manilow consider getting it right? You know what he considered getting it right?
What?
Getting the rule right when you screw up the three things before it. Putting the ball on the 1 yard line because we have no idea who recovered the fumble because we didn't even bother to look to see who recovered the fumble. And let me ask you this. How many fumbles in the year, this year in the NFL, and in the history of the NFL, did they go to instant replay to figure out who recovered the fumble?
Zero.
Don't answer it.
I did.
The answer is zero. You know why? The referee on the field decides who recovers the fumble.
And if they blow the whistle premature,
yeah, but because we didn't even bother to figure out who recovered the fumble. Call it anything you want. I have never seen a ball on a football field that's a fumble that the referee didn't point one way or the other.
Or peel guys off the pile. And you're right. And if they blow the whistle before it's a fumble, they can't go back and change it. So I think the officials on that particular play happen to look like a bunch of idiots because, like I said, once you whistle touchdown, what can you say? Nobody went after that as if it were a fumble. I mean, it's
to hear Gene Strattori call it a fumble, and then the next word out of his mouth was, however. We couldn't determine who recovered the fumble. How many times have you ever heard a referee say, we couldn't determine who recovered the fumble? Never.
All right,
and for Barry Manilow to say, they got it right, can you explain to me what part of that whole scenario they got right other than we screwed up so badly, we're putting the ball on the 1 yard line and have no idea what's happening. And let's just move on. Let's just forget about what just happened and move on. I wish I was by a phone and listening to when he said that, when I heard it on YouTube, I literally jumped out of my seat and started screaming at my cell phone.
Well, you remember last week I did say my brothers are now somewhere in Florida. If they're listening, if they have a Wi-Fi, they're screaming at the radio right now. And you know what?
Could not. When he said they got it right, and that's what bothers me sometimes about referees and officials. 99% of them, they do a thankless job. It's a hard job. They do the best that they can. To compound it by going, no, we got it right. Let's just move on to the next call. Are you kidding me?
Well, I think
part of that whole scenario would you stick a hat on and say, that's what we did, we got it right, look what we did? You messed up the fumble, you blew the whistle too early, and you didn't even bother to look to see who recovered the fumble.
Hey, John.
That's good officiating?
Hey, John.
Barry Manilow can sit there and go, we got it right? That's the good call?
Hey, John.
Come on.
Hey, John. John?
Yes.
You feel better?
I feel a lot better.
All right, hang up on John.
I wish Barry Manilow was there.
Hang up on John. Hang up on John. Oh, my God. Somebody's got to get my brother John a cup of decaf. Good God. But you know what? He is right. He's absolutely right. Hey, you know what? I think we got the president of the Mongo Nation who's calling in also. We're going to go to Nooch, who, all high exalted mystic ruler of the Mongo Nation. Hey, Nooch, you're on Hey Coach Tony.
Hey, how you doing, Coach Tony?
I'm good, Nooch. What's going on?
I got just a couple things to offer. First, I got 2 words for you this morning. I heard your rant this morning. I didn't get a chance to call you. Serenity now. Serenity now.
That'll be the next
T-shirt. I don't really have too much of an opinion on that because like I said, I didn't catch all of it. I heard you on your rant, but I thought it was awesome as usual. And I got to go real quick. Just want to say one thing to Johnny. Gotta go. I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, Nooch. Thanks for the call. Apparently Nooch thinks that John is crying a little too much, and you know what? He is. But hey, let's face it. All things, the gods were smiling. The Steelers went on to the Super Bowl, came up a little bit short. But you know, John did have a good point. I think Nooch has a better point. John, wah. All right, the Mongo Nation chimes in as always, and always great to hear from you, Nooch. Thanks for the call. I do have another email here that I want to get to. We may have time for 1 or 2 more. Hey, you know what? We're going to go to it's Jim and Brewster who wrote in and said, "Hey, Coach Tony, I am wondering why in basketball a team cannot press until the last 2 minutes of each half. It takes away a distinct advantage from those of us who know how to coach." You know what, Jim, that's not a bad idea. I don't completely disagree with what you're saying, but I will say that the biggest reason for leagues who use that rule is simply enough disparity. And I don't mean despair, I mean disparity, where there are kids, especially at the younger levels, there is such a huge disparity between some kids who just simply, let's face it, don't belong in a competitive basketball environment, and kids who, let's say, may be the youngest sibling in a family that has a basketball coach in the family, and those just don't mix very well. I don't think there are many leagues who use that rule in travel or at older ages, but at younger ages, I've seen games where a coach left to his or her own devices would press the entire game and humiliate a team that may be, again, outcoached. And like I said, the real bottom line to the whole situation is I think that one comes down to disparity. And all I can offer to you, Jim, is stay patient. And soon enough, as you get older and start playing more competitive ball, your kids can press the snot out of the other teams and have fun doing so. So let's not worry about that one. I did get another one in from someone who calls himself Stats Dad. And Stats Dad writes in and says, "Hey, Coach Tony, we have all been to rec baseball games that go on forever. It goes something like this. Walk, 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 1 run scores. Pass ball, another run scores. Ground ball through the first baseman's legs, bases clearing error, and now you got a 5-0 game with no outs, and the pitcher's already thrown 35 pitches. It's painful to watch for fans, coaches, and umpires alike. Getting an out in a game like this is a monumental accomplishment in and of itself. So it's really frustrating when a pitcher works hard to get a strikeout, but the team does not get the out because the catcher dropped the 3rd strike. The 2-3 force out for a rec catcher is not easy. For all rec teams under age 12 and select teams under 10, I would eliminate the dropped 3rd strike rule. It will speed the game, plus they have all those rules in place to reduce innings for pitchers. This rule change would reduce the amount of pitches that a pitcher throws in a game." Stats Dad, I don't know where you're from, and I wish you would have told me that, because I got to tell you, you're 100% on the mark, but most people don't buy into the fact that, in other words, you won't see a drop third strike rule in too many leagues under the age of 13. Matter of fact, I've never seen it. Even in travel ball, you don't see people talking about that drop third strike. It just doesn't exist. Drop third strike is an out. Runners can advance at their own, but I've never seen a game where you have a drop third strike resulting in a kid being able to run to first base. It just doesn't happen, at least not in New York where I am, but that doesn't mean that there aren't people forcing major league rules down the throats of kids, maybe down south or out west. And I'm not picking on anybody, but I will tell you I have coached for a long time, and that drop third strike rule just simply does not occur. So you're absolutely right, but I think some people are actually ahead of you on that particular curve, and in most cases that's already taken care of. I think we got time for maybe one or two more. You know what? I got an email in from Tom, who writes in from OhioValleyOfficials.com. And Tom says, "Hey, Coach Tony, I was listening on YouTube to your interview with Barry Mano just now." Apparently, I don't know if Tom was listening today or if he heard my brother John go off on him. But Tom says, "I've refereed basketball for 17 years, starting at the youth level and the last 10 years as a high school varsity official. I continue to work youth games with my son, who is now 20, and still to this day, I've had more issues and problems at the youth level with players, parents, and coaches than I ever had in my 10 years of high school ball. I believe this is primarily because of people not knowing the rules. I went to great lengths to write a small piece that appeared locally called The 25 Misunderstood Rules in High School Basketball." And I got to tell you, Tom, you went through all this trouble. I'll go through your list, and we're going to try to do it quick. And for those of you who are really interested in those rules, I'm going to put them up on the blog. The blog, by the way, www.heycoachtony.com. But I'm going to try to burn through these as best I can. All right, first rule. There is no 3-second rule in between the release of a shot and the control of a rebound, at which time a new count starts. Okay. 2, a player can go out of bounds and return inbounds and be the first guy to touch the ball. All right, great. I'm going to try to see if I can pick out some good ones. All right, well, this one's a good one. There's no such thing as over the back on a rebound. The rule is there has to be contact resulting in an advantage or disadvantage between the two players. Don't put a tall player at a disadvantage merely for being tall. Sounds good. Similarly, number 4, reaching is not a foul. In order for a reaching foul to be called, there has to be contact, and the player with the ball must have been placed at a disadvantage. That's a great rule for us novice hoops guys to know. Blah, blah, blah. Travel rule about a player that can recover his or her fumbled ball. A fumble is not a dribble, so any steps taken during the recovery of a fumbled ball is not traveling, regardless of forward, backwards, or negative progress, and or advantage gained. Good. This is a good one. It is not possible for a player to travel while dribbling. Good enough. 7, another one I did not know. A high dribble is always legal, provided the dribbler's hand stays on top of the ball, and the ball does not come to rest in the dribbler's hand or palm. That one I did not know. See? I'm arguing these calls in Brewster every weekend, and I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. Another one. A kicked ball. Kickball has to be intentional, and the contact must be any part of the leg. All right, that's another good one that I'm learning. Let me see. Oh, it's perfectly legal for a player to rebound. This is one I didn't know. It's perfectly legal for a player to rebound his or her own air ball, provided the official deems the shot a legitimate shot and not a self-pass. All right, tell you what, there's about 17 more of them. I can't get to all of these folks, so they're going to be up on the blog at heycoachtony.com. Again, quick reminder, folks, starting this coming Saturday, April 2nd, you can listen to Hey Coach Tony not only here on WFAS and online at the blog, but on ESPN 940 in Putnam County, New York, and on ESPN 1510 out of Brookfield, Connecticut. I am very excited to turn on these new listeners. And, hey, as always, it has been a real pleasure being with you this week. And we're going to start to, again, we'll continue to take the calls, the emails, the comments, the questions, the concerns, the rants. And, again, we're going to wrap it up for this week. Guys, make sure you tune in Saturday, April 2nd at 9 a.m. for Hey Coach Tony on Cumulus and ESPN Radio.
This is Westchester's Soft Favorites, AM 1230 WFAS, White Plains, Westchester.